The title of my art piece is My Sister's Paralysis, and it's an installation which consists of 2 bodies and 2 pillows which have my sister's face in them, created from fine liner, which is Portraiture, and plaster and bedsheet for the bodies. And it looks at the reality of sleep paralysis, when an individual is under this sleep paralysis, what they look like from an onlooker's perception versus how they feel inside. One piece is a body which is straight with a face, just a straight closed eye look, and then another body is cradled, and this is all made out of plaster, and that shows what's going on in their minds, how they are unable to move but they feel like they need to move because they're going through this horrific state of the mind. So I wanted to show this because my sister experiences it. It's my sister's face on 2 pillowcases and 2 bodies. I always wanted to do portraiture, and I was always into drawing fine detailed drawings. So I was looking at facial expressions at first. And then my sister mentioned that she had a sleep paralysis night one night, and looking at how she felt and when she was describing this story, how it was like impacting her. I initially started with fabric stiffener for the bodies to create like creases and to make it look like the actual bedsheet is shown. Created 2 bodies, and then for the faces, always wanted to do fine liner. I took a lot of photos of her. I told her to recreate her facial expressions while she would be in this scene. So I just took a variety of photos and then decided to use one that was very expressive, really showed fear. I just want people to understand what sleep paralysis is more about. What is she going through? Yeah, people might be sleeping normally. They might look completely natural under a sleeping condition, but it is greatly affecting her sleep. The pillowcases I chose to do because I was at home during lockdown, couldn't use any other mediums. So I initially started off with really thick fine liners as well. After a lot of experimentation, I just decided to do the cheap pillowcases that ended up working well, and the 0.1 fine liner. So it was definitely a lot of playing around, a lot of experimentation with the bed sheets, with how to dip it into the plaster, how many coats I should do with the plaster, how to transport it from home to school, to work out how to scale the face to the body, even though the body was at school and I was at home doing the face. And because of lockdown, I couldn't match them up. So it was definitely a lot of experimentation, a lot of printing out pages, photos, buying different materials. I found this artist, Tracy Emmons. She created my bed, which is her bedroom scene. So I was definitely inspired by that to create a bedroom scene. I also love looking at smaller artists on social media and the realistic portraits that they do. I love realistic portraiture, and also galleries for just the idea of the installation. Definitely my idea to create the 2 bodies rather than just the one, to have the bodies elevated a bit. Most interesting was definitely seeing my development in the drawing skills. So I started off with creating 2 major practice pieces for the faces. And then later on, when I created the finals, I reflected on the practice versus the final. And it was such a big difference in the scaling, the overall detail, how realistic it looked. As cliche as it sounds, think outside the box. Try using different materials, look around what's in your house, what's in the nature around you. And if you have an idea, think about different ways to present this idea. So if you're thinking about fear, for example, think about creating an artwork that might be elevated or a taller artwork to represent the fear of heights. When you're starting off with your folio, don't think of one final that you want to create. Think of an idea, but don't think about a final image in your head at the start of this, because it'll definitely change throughout and it might limit your ideas. Definitely looking at an issue rather than a look that you want to create at the end.